Crypto market fear is in extreme levels. Bitcoin is dumping and alts are bleeding like crazy. If you are feeling lost, you're not alone. But what if I told you this is not the start of the major crash? This is the setup for something different. Market sentiment has completely flipped from overbought to oversold, just like in the past times before major reversals. At the same time, macro uncertainty is at the same level as 9/11. Smart money are positioning already. The biggest gains won't be coming from Bitcoin. They will be coming from altcoins like Sonic and Alch and some AI plays that are pumping right now when the overall market is bleeding. I'm going to show you exactly what's next for Bitcoin and which altcoins are set to pump first. And they're essentially already pumping. When most of the market is depressed, crying and sad, the key right now to focus and position into the assets that are pumping. You will be able to make it back the first and the fastest. And watching today's video, you won't miss it. Do me a favor, press the like button and let's get into today's video. First of all, let's focus on the positions that I opened recently. I'm not showing this to brag. This is like in comparison to the amount of money I lost. This actually very few. It's just nice to see some green in the market. And obviously it's not like making $10 million in a week, as some people are essentially making out there, which is absolutely insane. I'm talking about crash and puts. This is just legendary. So Alch, I actually closed a bit yesterday and they reopened, so I should have much more profit at this stage, but I was scared about what might be happening in the night, and that's why I essentially reopened. And I would also be sharing one more loan that I opened just recently. I will be sharing this at the end of the video because I do think you should understand what is happening overall before jumping into these things fully. Yesterday, fear and greed was at 10. I don't think that current market participants ever has seen number this low. Right now, today I think it's around 21, so it's slightly better. But yesterday it was just insane. And funny thing, like I did not feel a lot of fear myself. Maybe I'm just becoming numb to these market moves. The current drawdown that we are seeing on BTC is actually not the largest even in this cycle, and especially in the previous ones. In previous ones, we have seen the drawdowns of 40%, 50%, 53%. Right now we are just at 26%. I also do not expect us to jump significantly lower from here. Mainly to the fact that we have ETFs. Lowest I would expect is 10% lower from here, which should put us in the area of like $69,000, $72,000 per BTC, and I would be expecting to receive a strong reaction from there because this would essentially be a retest of the previous all-time highs of the previous cycle. Something I also wanted to quickly share. Yesterday on the video I spoke about Pnut. It was on the preview of yesterday's video as well. Today is actually a top performer. If you long this yesterday with a 5x leverage at least, you would be up 2x. Sometimes it pays to watch these videos. It's very interesting that the BTC price right now is 85,000, slightly lower, exactly similar as it was in November. And in November, this area was overbought like crazy. RSI was just at the top, and like through all this time, we're actually printing a bearish divergence on the chart, which kind of was telling us that we probably should be correcting. Right now, what we're seeing is BTC is back at 85,000, but we are oversold. We're definitely in the oversold territory at this stage. Some people are saying that we're actually in the bear market and RSI is oversold and will be oversold for multiple months, if not even years, because the market will just continue to trend down. Some people are saying that, yeah, it was a very nice run. We're probably going to multi-month correction, the same thing that we essentially have seen in the summer of 2024 and in 2021 cycle in the summer essentially as well. I tend to not think like that. Today, I will also uncover why. I do think that we should essentially be seeing slightly more pain in the start of March and first week of March or something. From there, we should be recovering from my point of view. This chart shows the sentiment of stocks investors. We will talk slightly about macro because one of the reasons of why crypto is essentially dumping is because stock market is not doing very well. Right now, the sentiment of retail investors actually hit the top right here, which is crazy because we are still pumping, even on S&P, right? As you can essentially see here, right here we were in the midst of the deepest correction. Right here we're also during the correction. Right here also during the correction. And here essentially as well during the correction. But right now we're not even in the correction. We are in the uptrend, and the sentiment is very, very bearish, and people are scared at this stage. Retail people who are holding and buying stocks. The other thing that we have, which also is a retail index for the stocks holders, Daily News Economic Policy Uncertainty Index. It's very interesting. It's based on archives of thousands of newspapers and other news sources, and we are seeing during the global pandemic, it was at peaks, right? Financial crisis of 2008 and 9/11. Just see this thing, guys. The current level of panic in terms of retail investors is actually equal to 9/11. This is absolutely insane. This is all you have to know about this situation. I'm not talking about crypto, I'm talking about retail investors overall. I do actually think that we as constant market participants in crypto, we actually have a huge advantage right now because they have never seen these type of numbers for any assets they're holding. And that's why we're seeing through ETFs, they're panic selling their Bitcoin at this stage. We are quite comfortable with these type of drawdowns. We're sitting in meme coins, they're doing 80% down, they're doing 400% plus after that. This is our strength at this stage. And this is actually the way how we can be taking money from these people. Because right now they're buying BTC. Over time, we will be seeing more and more ETFs for altcoins be opened up as well. And I do think that we will definitely take some advantage of that situation out there. Next chart is very interesting. It's Economic Surprise Index. It essentially compares the sentiment that people have in terms of how well the economy is and in terms of how they live in comparison to the situation that is happening currently, which is financial conditions tightening. The higher this chart is, the red one, the better conditions are of how people live day to day. And the black one is how they perceive these conditions out there. Essentially, as we can see, the black chart, which is the sentiment chart, usually lags in comparison to the real situation out there. So right now, conditions are already improving, but people are scared shitless, which means that this is exactly the time to take advantage of the situation because sooner or later, black chart will be catching up to the red one. But macro stuff is quite interesting, but probably have a question, Stan, what are the alts I should actually be buying? What are the things that are pumping and have the high chance to continue to pump? I have response just right for you. And if you were watching this channel in the last couple of days, you should be up greatly on the peaks that I was essentially showing. And I do believe that a situation like this will continue moving further. And this is the chart that show inflows into the BNB chain out of each and every chain out there. The reason I'm sharing this is because founders of the chains, I do think they have to understand this dynamic. First, degens come, then developers come who are building software for degens out there, right? You can think about this as a gold rush and people who are selling and creating shovels, right? And then come TVLs, DeFi, and things like that. The reason these things are happening with BNB and what happened with BNB at this stage, because CZ finally understood it to a certain extent and he started to pump new coins. I do believe that most of the founders of layer 1s and layer 2s, they should finally understand these things. This is the best marketing tool that is only available out there. And this is the marketing tool on which you can also be making money. It's absolutely insane. Tools like these, they don't exist in the Web2 space. This is a pure revolutionary thing out there, which only was used by Solana and Base at this stage. But on Solana and Base, it's not even these chains operating the whole process, just influencers and people from the market understanding this thing and using it, right? But imagine the chain that would actually be able to utilize and take control over the whole process. It would be just way different and way better thing out there. I would say at the beginning Solana was trying to do it, and what it resulted into. It resulted into 1.5 years worth of meme coin game. Imagine how many fees they made. Imagine how much money they collected. Imagine how much volume and TVL they actually attracted on chain. Absolutely, absolutely insane. And I just do think that founders, they have to focus on these things as well. If you're a competent founder, you have to see these things. And another chart supporting my message, total transfer amount between chains on the bridge. We can also see that Sol and Base are leading this thing. Why? Because they had founders that were supporting memes, they were essentially talking to communities, they were connecting to different projects out there, mostly meme coins, to be honest, and they essentially were supporting the things that were happening on their chains. Ethereum founder Vitalik, for example, is just selling each and every meme coin that is sent to his wallet, which is probably not the best thing to essentially do. So from this point of view, they just understand the game of the mindshare and they work with this game of mindshare to make sure that they would be receiving inflows. The result of the game of Base here was essentially the fact that right now they're pretty much stealing all the fees that are present on Ethereum, right? Imagine some other chain would actually be able to do this. And something I wanted to share is that most of this liquidity is actually coming to Sonic at this stage. Why? Because they are working. They are pumping the chain. They're providing DeFi protocols and they're providing degen environment for people to actually do something on chain. People want to come back to utility at this stage. That's why they're playing in the DeFi protocol and Ponzi's out there. I do believe that with slight turn in the market, with slight bullish setup, we would be seeing meme coins coming back. And we're seeing this already. Pnut is one of the top performers on a daily, and I'm sure it will continue along with Neiro. The reason I'm talking about Sonic because I do believe it's actually quite a nice investment at this stage. It's actually quite strong on this dip, but scoop it up, definitely quite nice. We can also see top speed showdown Sonic versus other chains, and Sonic right now is at 370,000 transactions per second, which is quite nice in comparison to other chains, right? It's pretty much 7 times more than Solana at this stage, 6.5, right? So it definitely shows that there is environment, there is some ground to have some activity on. On the Sonic chart, we also see the cup and handle formation that is happening right now. And there's a high chance we might be either close to the bottom of the handle formation or exactly at the bottom of the handle formation. And if, just if, at this stage of the cycle, you are catching low leverage loan at the bottom of the handle formation on cup and handle pattern on Sonic, you won this cycle already. This is the only thing that you would need to do actually. And you can catch it like with $5, $10, $15,000, right? Not a huge amount in connection to the full amount of your portfolio because you would probably be making multipliers. And this is a utility coin. This is not a meme coin. It's definitely easier for people out there to loan and hold this loan as well. You're just catching the bottom of this cup and handle. It continues to expand and you just keep continuing, increase the leverage, increase your exposure to the asset. You're ending up with 6 figures at the middle end of the cycle easily, just with probably like less than $5,000 initial investment. The only thing you would have to do is just hold, have conviction, not close, because not closing this thing is going to be the biggest temptation you would ever have to fight. But this is it. Right now is the time of opportunity. And as usual in life, most people, they're missing on the opportunities and on the times of opportunities, which is right now, exactly as we speak. AI project actually told you to loan in $30 million, which is already at $50 million at least. It's on Binance perps. Pretty much it had a crazy corrections. Right now should be definitely nice to be entering this asset. They just announced yesterday that they will be releasing Android mobile application on Google Play. I would say it's arguable in terms of how many people will be using this product and if this product needed, right? But still, it's nice. It's a nice narrative for the pumpage at this stage when, yeah, like it's definitely not hard to build one for this type of product at this stage. But all we need is just narrative for people to continue to buy in. They see a mobile app, they press the buy button. This is it. This is all we need for the asset. Like previously in December, just ChatGPT connected to X page, just sharing garbage, was actually reaching millions of hundreds of millions of dollars in valuation in market caps, right? So still have a mobile app for Alch, quite nice. This one I would say is more interesting and more important than mobile app on application. This is the list of coins that are doing the most volume in terms of each and every coin out there. And one more thing, and one more time, exchanges are hunting for projects that are doing crazy volumes, right? They obviously have like Dogecoin, BTC, Shell, they have most of this project essentially on the exchanges already. But they also have Alch. And Alch is a small cap and it's showing a very nice volume. And I do think that following the market cap, Alch is actually also the smallest market cap out of these things. And the other reason I wanted to share here is that all of these projects right here, they have Binance Spot. And this thing receiving this amount of volume without having Binance Spot, which is huge upside out there. I do honestly believe that the current pump that is happening is probably insiders buying beforehand because they got some news about Binance Spot. That's why they essentially buying, and most likely Binance themselves, they bought up most of the supply of this coin at the bottoms because this is what they do. They open up futures, they dump the whole thing, they scoop up the supply at the bottom, then they essentially push it on spot and they are longing from the bottoms the whole push up on spot. I do believe that quite soon we should be receiving the announcement of Alch being listed on spot on Binance, which should be quite nice because I should be making some money from that time as well. One more time, this is the current Alch loan that I have. I pretty much opened it just 2 to 3 days ago. Realized 3.5k already. I have stop loss around the break even, so I won't get liquidated on the amount of margin I have here. Again, it's not the big amount, but it's still nice to at least see some green in the current market, and obviously see some green with longing, because I do believe that people that are shorting, they're seeing a lot of green. Some more things about Alch. A top liquidity provider on Meteora has added Alch and 5,000 Solana to Alch Sol pool. Essentially, if you would transfer this to the dollar value, that should be around $700,000 that is added to the Alch pool. They are not adding this for free. Obviously, this just means that they probably would want to be taking profits this way, because the higher the coin essentially goes, the more amount of the coin is being bought up from the pool, and they're being transferred into Solana, which means that they're essentially taking profits into Solana, and also to farm fees, because volumes are insane for this asset at this stage. And when there are great volumes, people are just buying the coin, they're just adding to the liquidity pool, and they're just farming these volumes by doing nothing. If the coin is going up, you're also taking profits on this coin into Solana, the underlying asset of the ecosystem. We can also see that mind share is almost 3% of all of the AI projects out there, which is quite huge. And holders are actually up 2% on a daily. This is during the time when the market is dumping, market is scarce-like. Again, it's daily. Yesterday, we had fear at 10. We almost never seen this fear before, right? And during this day, when the fear was at 10, probably like the most fear-inflicted day in the whole history of crypto out there, this thing gained 2% of holders plus, just in one day. Crazy. Next thing that's pumping nicely we have to talk about is CKB, which is essentially a project of the previous cycle. It was printing this classic chart pattern for the asset in this cycle as well. As you can see, we actually just printed a giant green dildo at this level. That's essentially the main reason we're talking about it. The market cap of this thing around this stage is around $370 million. It also actually received more than 50% increase in volumes on the biggest exchange thus far. One of the main reasons for the pump was the report from Messari Crypto, which is a reputable agency in the space that a lot of people are listening to. February 2025 report by Messari Crypto shows that CKB is building on a strong support base, plus anticipated fiber and web, which will unlock multi-asset support for Lightning. Kraken already has CKB listed on futures. When spot, make it happen. Mining difficulty and hash rate increased 7% and 60% quarter-on-quarter respectively, which means that essentially there's just more security in the chain and it's safer to use this chain. And usually the more miners there are, the more projects are coming in, because it often brings volume into the chain as well. And additional security brings additional TVL. Something that's bouncing currently is also FIO protocol at this stage. And I have some setups to share. I would suggest to enter the longs right here at around 0.039 if we will be seeing the retest of this area at this stage. Just set up a limit order, you should be doing quite all right. It's interesting that I do think that a lot of assets out there that would actually be showing something like this, they will be bouncing currently, because in general we have to understand when some things are pumping on the market or are printing certain charts, oftentimes other things on the market, they will be repeating it as well, right? Because traders from the first thing, they just take profits and they just reposition into other things that show like a slight signs of movement, just to essentially take this move and take this money, have the exposure to this move from other assets as well. I would suggest alone here with your take profits target at 0.053 and 0.065 respectively, and 0.076 essentially as well. Fully diluted market cap of this thing is at $24 million currently, which means that I just love to loan assets like this, because when they go up, they multiply multiple times, which is just great. It's nice to be up to K just during the time of me recording this video in the last 15 minutes. But again, these profits, they can easily evaporate. But now we're talking about the last loan that I actually just took recently. So I have 4 charts of different altcoins at this stage, and I wanted to show some things. I wanted to show some interesting comparison. All of them, they're essentially moving from the start of February, right? The kickoff of this range happened on start of February. I specifically have some lines to show that all of the alts except the first one are essentially in the downtrend. The YDX in the downtrend, Solana is in a crazy downtrend, Hype is also in the downtrend at this stage. We can see that Solana is bouncing slightly from these levels at this stage. Hype is not that reactive, at least on a daily. The YDX, yeah, it's tried to bounce in the last couple of days, but the trend is still in the downwards. The reason I'm focusing on last here is because I really liked what is happening on this chart. First of all, we can see that it's definitely more in the sideways nature correction. You cannot even say like it's in a huge downtrend. And what we have seen actually recently is that it started to print local uptrend. The same thing happened on DYDX, but DYDX did not have this type of wick, right? And Blast also had this type of wick. Oftentimes you would say that two things can actually cause these things. First of all, someone is closing giant shorts. Second of all, someone is accumulating in giant amounts for the future, right? And then the market maker essentially just dumping the price right after to make sure that this asset is not going down. Yesterday, the wick that was printed right here actually pushed Blast 20%, which is quite crazy, quite insane. So I do have a feeling that someone might be accumulating this thing, or at least is closing shorts, which is a positive 100%. And I do believe that we're in the meta of layer 1s and layer 2s essentially. Blast, like they're trying to remarket them from layer 2 to layer 1. This is essentially the long that I opened just this morning on Blast. I was down as much as 1k I think, and this is a very, very degen low out there. So your stop loss should be at around 0.003888. I have my stop loss slightly lower, and it's not like a stop loss, it's a liquidation price because I'm essentially using 3k right here as the amount of money that I'm ready to lose. I would definitely love to be able to catch this loan. If you're going lower, I would probably not even close it. I would probably just try to decrease my exposure and add the amount that I will save into margin to make sure that my liquidation point will be even lower from here. I do like the fundamentals of the project right here, and I do like the things that I'm seeing on the chart as well, because I'm looking after a lot of charts, a lot of alts, and I just showed a comparison with 4 alts out there that you probably heard of, you probably know yourself. Well, this is pretty much it for today. Thank you very much for watching. Let me know if you have any questions. We don't have a lot of comments, but feel free to leave them, guys. I will try to respond to the most of them. Thank you very much for watching again. Stay healthy and rich, and I'll be seeing you tomorrow.